This is Meri at the Meri Atelier. A group of YouTube artists are doing a video hop on the fourth Saturday of every month. This month we have been challenged with choosing an art style and creating our own art piece in that style. So after you have watched my video, drop down to the description box below and hop through all the links and let's see how many different art styles we have discovered. As you watch the videos, do not forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Now what I'm showing you is some art pieces that I have chosen specifically in the Colonial era, and they are watercolors that are done on ivory, and they are miniature. Oh, they are just so sweet. I have chosen 5 children that are done by an artist, Meri Roberts, and these are in the public domain at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and I will leave a link to that in the description box below all the other video links. So it is really interesting. Oh, I need to tell you that this entire video will be done in fast forward, just simply because I need to keep the length of this video short for your viewing pleasure. So, but this artist, Meri Roberts, worked in the 1700s in Charleston, South Carolina. And it amazes me that the details that she gets. These children, there are 5 of these pieces, and they're called the Middleton children. And they are done on little pieces of ivory that measure 1 inch by 1 1/2 inch. And they're done on ivory, watercolor on ivory. That intrigues me. Now, I do not have ivory. I just have my little ATC book. But ivory, I'm not even sure. I don't think you can even purchase ivory. I think that it's probably a protected substance now. But it just amazes me. She was not a well-known artist. Meri Roberts was her name. She was not a well-known artist, but her husband was had advertised as a painter, an illustrator, and an engraver. And reading and researching her, I found it very interesting. I think that she would have fit into our art groups, because I go, she needs to come to the Meri Atelier. So I think that she would have been a very happy member of one of our art groups. It amazes me that her pieces have survived all these years, and I think that the Metropolitan Museum of Art paid a little price to have these pieces in their collection. So don't get discouraged if you are not a well-known artist. After her husband passed away, she became more well-known. She advertised his printing press in the Charleston Gazette. I thought that was very interesting. Now, these first 2 pieces that I'm doing do not resemble the pictures that I'm looking at all, but I'm getting inspired by the pieces. I'm doing my own little Colonial miniature watercolors, children. However, mine are about 200% of the size of hers. I'm doing mine on 3.5 by 2.5 inches, and hers were 1 by 1.5. Now the last 2 pieces, and this is true for me in most of my art, after I do a couple pieces, I get a sense of what I'm doing and where I'm going. You'll notice that I'm not using a pencil. I'm doing all my drawing with the watercolor itself. So the last 2 pieces I think that are better. I think that they represent where I'm going with this. I'm just happier with the last 2 pieces. There are 5 of these in the collection. I only did 4 of them because that's all that I could fit onto this page. But I'll be doing more of these because I think these are just charming. And even the pieces, if you look at the original images from the link, I don't think these they look like little dolls to me. They just have this certain charm to them, and that's what makes them so attractive to me. So even though mine do not look like the pieces that I am copying, I don't think that the original pieces probably don't look like the children of that. I mean, they don't look like real children. They look like little adults. And again, that's part of the charm, if you ask me. And I'm really happy with the last two that I've done here. I kind of got out of frame on that third girl, but I'm showing her now, and I'm very, very happy with how she came out. Now the last one is a young boy, and here again I call him a little man, but what I love about this one is even on the original piece he has this bright red jacket on, and boy, I'll tell you, it really sets the piece off. And you can see that I play with the background too. I kind of have some light around their head, some lighter blue, and then I put darker blue around the frame to maybe give it appearance of a little cameo, because these are little watercolor cameos. Look at that jacket. Now I'm putting in his face. Now as I work on his face, I kind of get more lines in there and more layers of watercolor as I'm working with it that I intended, and I think that kind of ages. I keep saying, if you're doing a child's face, do not put a lot of lines. See there, I think I've got more lines on there than I intended, and I think it ages a child. A child has smooth skin, and so and I am just using just minuscule amounts of watercolor on these. You know, I'm amazed that I'm one that loves to load my page down with color, but I'm using tiny little brushes and just little bits of watercolor and I'm very happy with how they come out. Another thing that I've noticed, that on all of these pieces, if you look at the originals, their hair appears gray, and I think that it was probably originally a dark color like a black, but over time I think that's probably faded out to a gray. So I added some, you can see I have some red tones in their hair and some browns. Put a little dark tie on his suit, and yeah, I'm happy with each one of them. So there they all are, all four of them. I play around with them, just kind of putting on finishing touches. I play around with that cameo. I kind of darken some of the areas on in the background here. Just sometimes I can't stop once I get started. But I am very happy. My first one, I think, looks a little bit more modern than a Colonial piece would. I think a Colonial piece would probably have a little bit more of a round head. And so I'm playing around with squaring off his forehead. You'll see me do that here in a minute. Right there, I try to make his head a little bit more roundish, and that helps too. Kind of instead of an oval or a rectangular head, to round off those heads. Now I'm putting walnut ink that I've made from walnuts that fell in our yard from our very own black walnut tree. Last year. I had to collect them from last year. This year we didn't have many. But that sort of puts them all in their own little frame here, and that's what I'm working on mostly. It's just the frame. So I'm very happy with how these came out. They just, I had a lot of fun doing these. Now I'm getting out my black marker. That's a pen plus gear chisel type marker, and I'm adding black frames around each ATC again, and that again just adds a little of a frame around each ATC. And then, yeah, I don't stop there. I get out, I get out my gold Krylon pen, and I'm just drawing ovals around each one, and that kind of is inspired by the gold frame on each of the little lockets. These are such charming pieces that even when you study them and do your own pieces inspired by them, that charm just comes through. I just had all sorts of fun doing this. So I hope that you've enjoyed watching this, and I can't wait to see what everybody else in the video hop has done. I haven't seen any of the videos. I'll see them when you see them. So drop down to the description box below and let's look at different art styles. Thank you for watching.